Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Dylan Box. I'm your co-host Ryan,
And I'm Chris.
and we're going to be talking to you about a very special release that just came out. It's not music, but it's something else.
It is something else.
Yeah, and it's hopefully we don't break a shoulder pulling it out of
You
this
want
box
to try
here.
because you're maybe stronger than me.
Yeah, so we have one of the biggest books I've ever on my shelf. This is called Bob Dylan, Mixing Up the Medicine, and it is, I guess you can call it a retrospective of the Tulsa exhibit, the Bob Dylan Museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma. 600 pages, and it's gigantic.
It is gigantic. When it came to my house, I just kind of laughed. I don't read things very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it says Dylan. I think you had messaged me. Oh, mix up the medicine's coming out. Oh, good. You know, and I just put it in the wish list. Click, and it's just like this big truck, you know, like backed up. beep, beep.
You want to come out and help us with this? Yeah.
To cart this thing in. But it really is, if it doesn't look massive in front of this massive display box, the Dylan box, it really is, there's a heft to it that it makes you want to go to Tulsa.
It does, yeah. I mean, I originally thought, this can be a replacement, in lieu of going, but no, rather it does showcase some of the artifacts, of course.
Right.
It has a lot of essays, which is great to read
really
about.
Great, yeah.
And you have certain people like they were able to pick an artifact and then write about it, which I thought was cool. So some of the pieces that are written in here they actually picked what they like or what jumped out to that individual, and then they wrote a little bit about it,
which really coheres this as not just a big block of content,
another Dylan book,
just another Dylan book.
Right.
Is that the curators made a great use of the concept. How are we going to promote this vast array of Dylan memorabilia?
Absolutely.
And how would you make it important to some people? Instead, by having people write essays, and you realize that when you're going through this book, that you're like a satellite, just pinging off of little events.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
Dylan and the Dead. Hey, star of a previous show. Dylan Box episode, but. We can open a random page in this book, and there you go.
Right, and it's not 12 pages on the dead. It's going to be really that. Yeah. Probably right there.
This picture, we had a set list, so that's definitely that's from the museum. You have like a lithograph or a picture, tour promo stuff. But it really moves on because it does cover everything up to Shadow Kingdom, which is very
pretty recent,
it just up to May of this year, right? So. Everything is in here, I think, pretty well represented.
Yeah, and in a concise way. For folks who are, deep Dylan people, it doesn't feel like, they didn't spend enough time. They essentially said, how are you going to? Yeah. You would have to have 50 of these,
right?
But instead, you get a sense of, right. Here's this album, here's this time, here's this concert, here's this note, here's this essay that all take you back to that place and time. And then it opens up again for you.
Yes.
Your memories of it, or, then you want to go listen to that album.
Your curiosity of something.
So each one just kind of piques your curiosity. So sort of some veteran Dylan people will find this still fascinating. The essay is particularly well written. It's really good Grill Marcus one. But also, if someone was just getting into Dylan somehow, and there always is going to be new generations and stuff, this would be a good place to start.
Yeah, this would be a good Christmas gift. So for those of you who are you might have a music fan in your life, and I've seen piles of these at Costco. Really? Costco has these, So I remember a couple of years ago they had the Beatles book.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of get those things in bulk. So I believe Costco about $60. Get them this because I think for any music fan or a budding or even the amateur Dylan fan, it's just great because you'll have all the other musicians he's interacted with over the years, all of the lyrics on scraps of paper. It's just amazing that all of these things have been curated.
Yeah, and organized in a way that kind of invites you into the process. So if you're just learning about Dylan in a way, you're seeing the sequence of albums, you're seeing these influences and cross references and whatnot. And I have a similar book that's like a dictionary of Dylan. It almost is like different terms, and you go through it, but it's alphabetical, and it doesn't really take you anywhere particularly.
Not many pictures.
Yeah, it's interesting of itself, and you'll learn these little tidbits. But here, because of the heavy visuals, and there's tons of incredible pictures from different places in time that point you back to that moment in time and point you back. And that's, probably the gift that Dylan is over time,
right,
is that he's delivered so many gifts that he's, it's not just, his greatest hits album. There's what would go on that. It's not the hits that make people Dylan fans.
Right.
It's how they become a part of his language,
what engages them,
and his the quality of his songwriting and the quality of these performances. That this gives you these markers,
right?
And you can just follow him from the very earliest stages, because this is chronological.
Yeah, it is. So it starts at the beginning, and it goes all the way up.
All the way to the end?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, all the way to the end. You know it. But I mean, it's like, we're getting other things besides, so of course you're going to get the lyrics. I don't know if you can see this too well from where I'm holding, but, the lyrics, a lot of great photos. They were saying a lot of these are like have never really been released.
Right.
So they're not in wide distribution. But I'm just kind of going backwards here, but you're getting to see everything in a different way. Like, you're getting a lot of concert posters, you're getting promotional materials. There's just some awesome pictures here. And then little snippets on, this is one of my favorite things that he's done, Last Thoughts on Woody Guthrie, which is on the bootleg series 1, I think. It's a spoken word piece he did. And it's one of the only times you hear Dylan just reading poetry. And there's just a little part in here, and then you see the whole thing typed out. And we've seen pictures of Dylan at the typewriter, but you get to see the actual artifact in here. After seeing this, it's almost like I would love to go to Tulsa.
Yeah,
to see these things and how they're arranged, because I'm sure it's like a multimedia kind of blitz, right? And with everything on it.
I mean, there's all sorts of ways for a book like this, the cost, the scope, the breadth of what they're trying to do. They could go a little haywire. They could get kind of lost in the weeds, or too much a rock skipping off the surface. It seems like with someone with a 60-plus year career, what they did is just right.
Yeah.
And it just, finds its rhythm.
Yes.
In Dylan's history.
But then this joins the list of other Dylan books I have that I still have to kind of read from start to finish.
Oh, sure.
But it's also the kind of book where you don't need to do that.
No.
So you can also, wherever you find yourself, open the book up, and then you can just read a page of it. Or like you said, hey, this is a little snippet on Highway 61 revisited. Let's throw the record on.
Yeah, it started on my coffee table, but my grandson, Owen, started, he was going to decide to get into Dylan too early.
Oh, okay.
So back away from my book. He's 10 months now.
Oh, yeah.
9, 10 months.
Starting early.
Yeah, well, he would eat this book first before he would consume Dylan in a whole new way. So I just said, okay, I'll just let him sing to you. I just first started thumbing through it, and I said, oh, this is better than expected.
Yeah.
And with him, you have such high expectations. There's all this, the whole notion of the box set has gone bonkers. And there's some wonderful...
Seems like he has more than anyone else.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He has to.
But they're very well curated.
They're all great.
And they're thought through, and they're like masterpieces in themselves. And there's some other one. It's inspired. I'm sure we could do another time. The Who's Lifehouse.
Oh yeah.
Project it's about twice the size of that book, but again, it's a massive undertaking of what ended up as. who's next. So I think probably the audience's appetite for not reliving the past, but re-experiencing and finding things anew.
Always.
But if they do something as good as this, it's worth revisiting some of our major players for sure.
I agree. And maybe I'll just kind of close with a quote here from the book. Dylan himself said this in 2011. Everybody knows by now that there's a gazillion books on me, either out or coming out in the near future. Very true. So I'm encouraging anybody who's ever met me, heard me, or even seen me to get in on the action and scribble their own book. You never know, somebody might have a great book in them. So it's not like, it's funny because he never really endorses these things.
No.
And it could be all like, it could be like the movie, the Rolling Thunder movie, which a lot of us has bought hook, line, and sinker, but really a lot of that was kind of
made it up as you went along.
It was a joke. As we know, the man is kind of a prankster, but that's why we love him, and we think you're gonna love this book.
It's two thumbs up.
Two thumbs up.
For mixing up the medicine.
Yeah, check out the book and go to Tulsa.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. We'll see you again on another edition of Dylan Box. I'm Ryan.
I'm Chris.
And we'll see you all later.
Light blue flash from a cigarette.